Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and in this episode we're going to do another juice-off comparison between the Pure Juicer, which is a juicer I own, this is my Pure Juicer, and a Norwalk 280 juicer, which is also my juicer. I bought it on Craigslist for an undisclosed amount, but I got a good deal on it, and I thought I'd really kind of make another video comparing these two in detail. You know, for those of you guys that haven't seen my other video, I would encourage you guys to check that one out. It's nearly 2 hours long. Link is down below. First comment in the video or second comment down below this one. 2 hour long, detailed investigation on why I believe the Pure Juicer is significantly better than the Norwalk. Not to say that the Norwalk's bad or doesn't work, you know, the Pure is just basically a better mousetrap. And in this video, hopefully this short and condensed version, we're going to really explain why the Pure is better. I mean, it comes down to a lot of things. There's many reasons why this machine's better. That's all in the 2 hour long video right down below. But the main thing for me is the sheer pressing power, right? The stronger you are, the more weight you can lift. And this machine is just a lot more stout, a lot more strong. I mean, basically a good juicer and a good house are built on a good foundation. And this foundation is solid. Actually, it's like twice as thick as this foundation, as we will learn in a little bit. In addition, it's like 8 times more, like, I don't want to say strong, but more like, that has more strength to not break, not flex. And I'll show you guys actually, when you guys are, when I'm showing you guys this, like what you want to look for when you're thinking about buying a used one. Because I bought this one used, and I learned some things about it just by owning a Norwalk now and having a, you know, been using my Pure in my kitchen for like a year now, and just buying this Pure, the Norwalk, and having to clean it. Oh my God, like some little things just annoy the heck out of me, like things that doesn't need to be there. And this is a 280 model, but this is their press plate, right? And yeah, this looks like a nice press plate. It's all stainless steel. Number one, it's top heavy. So like this front is a little bit heavy, so it could tilt like a tip. If you put it in there, it's like, whoa, look at that, shit. Oops. But look at this one, like we could press it down and it's solid, because not only do they have little catch trays here, but the other thing that really bothered me is because when I buy any used juicer to test, I make sure it's totally clean. And what I noticed on this one is that there's these little fine gaps, like I can't get my pinky in here to clean it. My brush would not fit in there. I had to take literally some paper towels with a knife to get in there and dig through the stuff, all the crud that was been in this juicer that was not being cleaned. So the juice is coming out in this black crud that you can't clean because it's too hard to get into. The Pure, I've never had that issue, right? My finger actually fits in there. I can clean up my finger, my brush easily gets in there to clean it. I mean, it's just these small things that really make the Pure Juicer a better machine, besides just the sheer force. Another thing that I noticed really with the Norwalk, and I'm not going to take it all apart, I did that in the other video, but the cutting blade, right, it has all these like little set screws, and guess what? In the set screws in this juicer that was not cleaned properly in my opinion, but everybody has a different definition of clean, there's like crud and pulp and junk in the set screws sitting there aging and contaminating your next juice, right? There's no set screws like in the Pure Juicer, you know, auger here. It's like nice and clean, like one piece. Look at that, man. And this is a lot sharper too, so you're going to get a lot finer cut, a lot less heat generation when juicing. But anyways, I don't want to really get into all this. I mean, I could go into more, but those are the things I just really noticed, you know, buying this Norwalk and having to clean it up, right? That just really bugged me. But what we're going to do in this episode, actually, we're going to go ahead and we have a pressure tester, right? It basically tests how much pressure the plates press. So we're going to see how much the plates press, how much power the juicers have, and then we're going to put that to the test. We could see if, you know, I think that the Pure Juicer, it has more sheer pressing power from what I've been told, and actually we saw that in the last video, and you know, than the Norwalk. But then also we're going to juice and press out 1,000 grams or 1 kilogram of apples in each machine to see if it actually makes a difference, because of the more power and also the more efficient cutting blade that tends to get more pulp in, you know, to the collection cup, because, you know, there may be more stuck up inside this machine. Plus also the Norwalk can have a tendency to spit stuff up on your ceiling. This is the non-offset chute, which is what most Norwalks have. I do need to say though that, you know, there's things I like about the Norwalk, actually I don't like about the Pure, so hopefully one day they'll improve that. Number one is the funnel. This funnel fits on nice and tight. It's a really nice funnel, nice high sidewalls. And on the Pure, I'm just not getting that, right? It's a little bit more flimsy. Shakes a little bit, not as deep. So I don't like that. I do like on the Pure, of course, the pusher. It allows you to basically get more of the produce in because it's actually curved to the shape of the blade, whereas the Norwalk is straight. And the other thing I like about the Norwalk actually is their feed chute, you know, because it's an easier part to mold and create. It's a lot cleaner on the inside and a lot easier to clean than the Pure. Not that the Pure is hard, but there's a little more nooks and crannies in this feed chute. But other than that, I think you know, the cutting, the grid here, I mean, the Pure is just a much better refined machine, and you're going to have to check the video down below. Actually, what I want to do next for you guys is actually we're going to go ahead and take out the pressure tester, and we're going to go ahead and pressure test each machine to show how much, literally, how much it presses out your produce. So now I'm ready to basically do a pressure test on the Norwalk and the Pure to measure the force literally exerted onto the press and onto the pulp or onto the juice pulp that you will be juicing. Because here's the thing, right? In my opinion, the more pressure you have, the better the squeeze you're going to get, the more juice you're going to get out. I mean, this just makes total sense to me. Now, there's a challenge, right? With many Norwalks, you know, I think before the 290, they all have this sticker on the top here, and I want to read that to you. We'll tip this forward. Oh, so there goes the thing. It says, warning, do not leave the hydraulic press at full pressure up position longer than necessary to extract the juice. And then it says, usually not more than 10 seconds. Prolonged operation under extreme pressure may damage mechanism. So what are they telling you? Basically, to me, what that means is that you don't really want to run the machine more than 10 seconds because you might damage it, right? And this is something Norwalk knows, and they've actually, if you buy the newer 290 model, they've actually reduced the pressure so that they're not going to put as much stress on their frame and their machine, and they remove the sticker, so you don't have the sticker now. But you know, the machine has actually gotten maybe worse because it actually doesn't press as hard as the older models do, okay? Now the other thing I want you guys to be aware of, if you guys buy a used Norwalk, I want you guys to look for this and maybe steer clear of machines that have this issue, right? What you're going to notice on this machine, and you'll see this different on the Pure, like the Pure has none of this, right? Look at this. You see how like the bottom of this framing comes straight across, and it's pretty like, you know, flush with the bottom frame. But over here, the frame's lower, and then over here it's lower, but in the middle here, it's raised up. So, you know, once again, I'm seeing like dirt and debris kind of trapped in there. And also, it just doesn't look very nice. I mean, you're buying a $2,500 something juicer, and there's like this little gap in here. Why is that gap? So if you buy one new from the factory, you're not gonna have that gap. But as you use it, what's gonna happen is this aluminum plate is gonna flex and bow because the plate is actually only like half an inch thick. On the Pure, it's 1 inch thick, and they've designed it properly. Even after, you know, making this machine for all these years, Norwalk has kept pretty much the same base plate with some minor modifications to make it a little bit stronger, but they have this problem with flex. And so, you know, if this flexes enough, you use it enough, this generally happens in commercial machines, it will break on you. And, you know, that's not a good thing. You know, that's not going to happen with the Pure. And the other thing is, you know, the more it flexes, that means you're losing pressure on the plate, because if it's flexing somewhere, all the pressure is not going to where it should be to press out your juice. Hope you guys follow that. So what we have here now is we have basically like, this is a scale. This is like kind of like an overpriced scale. And you know, if you stand on a scale, it weighs how much you weigh because we got gravity pulling us down. Well, what this scale is going to do, it has this little sensor in here that basically if you press on, and look, I'm pressing on it, and you can see the number incrementing. As much as I press on it, I can't press more than 100 pounds of pressure on this scale. You guys see that number here? Do it again. 100 pounds, this is kind of fun. How much can you press? It's kind of like those things at the carnival where you hit it and it makes the ball go up or whatever. All right, so we're going to basically put this between here, and it's going to measure how much the Norwalk can press. So let's see if we can fit this in. All right, so the thing is, this does not fit in. Oh, it does fit in. It barely fits in there. So we're just going to go ahead and put it in there on the press plate. And we're going to see how much it's pressing. I guess there's a little pressure on it now. Maybe we'll zero it out because really it should say 0 right there. All right, so you guys can see that we're at 0. And now we're going to go ahead and turn the Norwalk on. We're going to crank this up to maximum. So I'm cranking it up. You guys can see it's going. You can see it flex. It made a little bit of noise. But you can read the number on there. Can you guys read the number? I think you guys can. Basically, we're at like 3850. It pretty much stabilized, and it might drop down as the pressure goes up. as it's sitting there, it's gonna go down a little bit. So now we're down to 3801, 37. So basically, we're measuring this one at about 38, which I think is about right. I think Norwalk has a stat to like maybe go up to sometimes 4,000 at the highest, but the range is, I don't know, 36 to 4,000 maybe, or maybe it's supposed to be 4,000, maybe sometimes a bit less. So that's how much we're measuring there, 3781. Now, if you set this higher, right, what's gonna happen, right? This frame cannot actually handle the pressure, and you'll see what's gonna happen because, you know, we're gonna break this machine by raising the pressure and see when it breaks. Then we're gonna show you the Pure on how much pressure it makes just out of the box, and we're gonna try to raise that one up to see how much it could take and hopefully not break, all right? So anyways, you guys saw the pressure on this. It's sitting at 3761, was at 3850 earlier. We're gonna go ahead and go over to the Pure and do the same test to see how much force is exerted on your produce. So now I want to talk to you guys more about the Pure Juicer, okay? The first thing I want to show you guys is on the top here. It's just 100%, you know, stainless steel. There's no warning signs that make it look funny in your kitchen. It looks nice and clean. I mean, this is a lot nicer finish too. You know, there's not all these screw holes. And if we look at the bottom plate right here, I mean, I've been using this machine, I think, for like a year now. And this is like totally flush. There's not like gaps. It's just like totally much nicer. But the only warning on the Pure is actually on the tray itself. It says, caution, to avoid damage, please be sure the tray is properly seated before pressing. And it says, warning, keep hands clear of moving press. You know, I do not recommend this machine if you have small children because this can be quite dangerous. You should only use this if you're an adult, all right? So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and check our pressure tester on the Pure. Make sure you guys can see that. And let's go ahead and zero this out again. Make sure we're at 0. And let's go ahead and I'm going to do the pressure test myself to make sure we're still legit. 108! Oh, I can't do more than 108. All right, so it's still working. I'm about pressing the same. Let's see if this guy can press a lot more. And I want to show you guys this. You know, this barely fit into the Norwalk like tight. And there's extra room in here. What does that extra room give you? That gives you extra pressing space. So you could fill up like 3 bags and put it in here and press out literally a quart of juice in one single pressing. In addition, this press actually goes up quicker, probably like, I don't know, 8 seconds, I don't know, something quicker, you know, than the Norwalk. So this means you're gonna save just a little bit of time. But let's see how much power this guy has and if it actually presses more than the Norwalk. All right, so let's take a look here. You guys can see it's incrementing. Oh my God, look at that, it's at 5,500, and then it's going down to 5,400. So 5,500 basically pounds versus what do we have, like 3,800 on the Norwalk? What is that? That's like 3,000, 4,800 plus maybe like 1,500 more literally pounds of pressure, and I could only do like 150, so even, or 100, it's like 15 times more pressure than I could just press against or squeeze pulp out of my hands you got in this machine just by simply getting the Pure, because it is designed and engineered literally to press the strongest out of any press juicer, including even some of those commercial countertop ones I hear. All right, so now I'm back and I'm ready to press actually apples in both machines to see if actually the more pressing force, as well as the better design with a sharper cutting blade, a little bit better, you know, grinding feature, the pressing time, which literally is unlimited on the Pure, which they say is 10 seconds on the Norwalk, although you could go maybe a little bit longer, but maybe if you go too long, it might break, I don't know. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in on the apples to make sure we have a fair fight. All right, over on the Norwalk side, we got the organic Gala apples. Looks like we have 1,000 grams. And going over to the Pure Juicer side, look at that beauty right there. We also have 1,000 grams. So we'll give you a close-up on both scales, 1,000 grams on both. All right, let's go ahead and get ready to juice. All right, so we got the apples all cut up and ready to get ground up in each juicer. I think I'm gonna grind up first in the Norwalk. To save you guys time to have this video shorter, we're just gonna go ahead and basically fast forward this. I'm basically taking an apple, putting it in, and pushing it in with the pusher to make sure that it doesn't spray up on the top of the ceiling. And we'll come back at you when we're done with the Norwalk, and then we'll move over to the Pure. All right, last apple going right in. This worked fairly well. You guys can see some pulp coming out of the screen there, and I'm sure this is actually quite full, so we're going to go ahead and tap that down. And I guess we're going to go ahead and, let's see here, I think we got pretty much all of it out. Alright, that's all that's coming out. Got that off. And we're going to go ahead and got pretty much 4 cups of the pulp. We're going to go ahead and set that on the scale. And we're going to weigh this out as soon as I'm done juicing or grinding in the Pure. Right, that's pretty much it in the Pure. To me, this was a lot easier. I did have some overspray if you look carefully as I was grinding, but in the Pure that was just not even an issue. Everything just grinded up really nice and easily. And this is going to be full again, and we're going to try to make sure we tip this up and try to get any extra stuff kind of wants to come out there. Looks like a lot more came out here. Alright, so we got a pitcher there and a pitcher here. Let's go ahead and put these on the scales and weigh them up. Alright, now let's go ahead and see how much the pulp weighs out of each machine. The first thing I want to note is the color of the pulp. So look at the color of the pulp on the Norwalk. It's a bit more brown. Now we did do it first by a few minutes, so that would cause it to turn brown. But also the pulp on the Pure is not quite as brown. It didn't oxidize as much. Why is this? That's because the cutting blades, one of the reasons is because the cutting blades are significantly sharper, so it's not going to oxidize the food as much. But also, you know, this has been sitting out a bit longer. Anyways, let's take a look at the weights. So we started with 1,000 grams, and including the glass, it's a 1970, and on the Pure, it's a 1994. So the Pure was able to get a little bit more ground out because, you know, there's a little bit of extra wastage inside here. If we look down in the feed chute there, you know, there's all that extra pulp that did not come out. Over on the Pure side, you know, we're not really seeing any pulp coming out near the screen. And if we look down the chute there on the top, look at that. That's fairly clean, right? There's less pulp in there than the Norwalk, which is going to account for, you know, I don't know, maybe 20 grams or so. All right, the next step to juicing in a 2-stage juicer such as this. First step is grinding that you guys just saw. The second step is putting it in the press cloths to juice out. This is where you could make or break it. Literally, you don't want to fill your press cloths up too much or they may explode, they may not get properly pressed out. So because we have nearly 4 cups of pulp here, we're going to use 3 press cloths, and you want to make sure you fill the press cloths properly. So we got basically, holds about 1.5 cups. So we're literally just going to take a spoon, and this is the pulp from the Norwalk. We're going to scoop out 1.5 cups. Basically that's level to the top. So we have a nice even amount. And then we're going to pour that in the middle of the press cloth. And then we're basically just going to fold a sandwich. See my other video for this because we're not going to really take a lot of time. But you basically fold over once, fold over twice, fold over 3 times, and fold over 4 times. And now you have basically a press pack that's nice and dripping wet that you can press out. So we're going to go ahead and make 3 filled cloths for the Norwalk and 3 filled for the Pure. Alright, so now I'm going to explain what has happened. We basically just folded all the press cloths, and also we did a pre-press. So this makes it a little bit easier to work with because the pulp, as it comes out of the grinder, you know, the juice is already, a lot of the juices come out. So we basically just folded the press cloths, and now literally I'm just taking my hand and pressing it down. You guys see the juice come out? I am the presser. We don't need a juicer. Wait, the juicer, if you got a juicer, you didn't need the juicer, you could use your hands. But anyways, I'm pressing down to 130 pounds of pressure, as you guys saw earlier. And so now these press cloths are not going to be dripping as much. They still are, so we're going to let this drip off a little bit so I don't miss any. But we got all this juice in the tray now that now we can pour into the collection cup here. So we're going to make sure that goes off, and we're going to put it right in the press. And we're going to take this juice here, and we're going to just pour it in the glass. Alright, so we got a bunch of juice already pre-made, and that's what also we did on the Norwalk. So what I want to do next for you guys is we're going to go ahead and do a close-up on the pressing as well as a stopwatch, and because I'm not going to really exceed the 10 seconds. I might go 20 seconds because that's what it says. You shouldn't go more than 10, usually 10 seconds. I'll give them a benefit of that. I'll go 20 to see how much juice they can get out in 20 seconds. And then over on the Pure, there's no time limit. We're gonna let that go, I don't know, maybe a minute if I want. See how much extra juice we're gonna get out because there is no press time limit and because there's a lot more pressing force, as you guys saw. Well, hopefully we get more juice, we'll see. All right, so now I'm ready to basically press out the juice with the Norwalk, and we're gonna go ahead and turn the machine on. And we're gonna go ahead and time this as I put the lever up. We're gonna just go ahead and hit the start button. So the lever's all the way up. I'm gonna feather it off so we don't get juice spray everywhere. Just a little bit. We're gonna crank it all the way up. We have a nice stream. All right, so when it's at maximum pressure, which I'm gonna say is now, it's at 18 seconds. So now we don't wanna go more than we shouldn't go more than 28 seconds. And let's take a look at 28 seconds. Is all the juice out? Well, 28 seconds, well, if we stopped it now, because they say 10 seconds, we'd be missing this juice. So we're gonna let it run to 38 seconds, give it an extra 10 seconds. Hopefully this is not gonna damage the machine. It shouldn't. So we're at 38 seconds, then we're gonna let it down because they say 10 seconds, and this is how much juice we got. It's still dripping. Maybe we'll set that up. We'll give them an extra benefit of some drips there. And that's how long it took. So actually, it probably took shorter in the Norwalk because I cut it off prematurely, but I think there's a lot more juice left in there. Anyways, let's go over to the Pure and find out if we're gonna make more juice or not. All right, so now I'm ready to juice in the Pure. Once again, we're gonna go ahead and turn this machine on. Actually, to me, this sounds a little more quiet, and we're just gonna go ahead and hit this, we're gonna start raising that up. I'm gonna hit start. And I forget how long it took to go up, but this is going up a lot faster, but we wanna make sure we feather this at the top of the ring and make sure we're lined up there properly. Oh, I didn't really feather it too much, so we have it at max pressure. It's at 15 seconds now, and now we can let it go to 25, we can let it go to 35, we can let it go to 105. Wait, 105 seconds. You know, we can let this go for as long as you want, right? So it's currently at 28 seconds, and look, juice is still coming out. If you shut off the machine, the press prematurely, right, you're not gonna get every exact drop of juice that you paid your hard-earned cash for, right? Organic produce is actually expensive. I mean, yeah, go to Costco, get your organic carrots, or Sam's Club, it's about 60 cents a pound where I live, but if you're living in Hawaii or somewhere else, man, it can get quite expensive. So you wanna make sure you get every last drop, and in my opinion, the Pure Juicer is gonna do that for you. Actually, to me, I could already see a difference in yield. Is it a lot more? No, I'm not gonna say it's a lot more. It's a lot. It's more, you know. And we'll inspect that when we're done. Now, here's the thing. The thing when you want to really stop the press from pressing is when the stream breaks. That's probably the best rule of thumb. Unless maybe you get busy, maybe your phone rings, your dog, something happened to your dog, you got to go outside. If you forget about this and have to go outside while it's still pressing, that's all right. This is not gonna blow up. This could sit here for like an hour and it's not gonna damage the machine. Now, you should never do that with a Norwalk. I mean, they say 10 seconds is the max usually on the top. So, you know, it's just barely dripping here. I mean, it's been running for 1:39. I'm not gonna wait anymore, man. My time is more valuable than that. We're just gonna go ahead and turn this machine off, let the press down. And then, of course, I like to tip this up always and get any extra residual juice. Now, what I want to do is I want to do two measures for you guys right now. We're going to go ahead and show you guys a close-up on how much yield was made in each machine. And then I'm going to weigh the press cloth bags. We use identical press cloths. We did use Pure press cloths in this episode. I did not use the Norwalk press cloths, but for all practical purposes, they're fairly similar, although the Pure cloths are a lot more stronger, so they're not as likely to bust out on you. But they weigh the same, so we're going to see how much juice was pressed out or how much the pulp weighs, as well as how much yield we made right now. All right, so now I want to give you guys a close-up on the yields, and then we're going to weigh out the press cloths as they come out of the machine. All right, so first, on the Norwalk side right here, you guys could clearly see how much juice did we make. We made about 700, maybe 702. It's just above the 700 line. And then if we go over to the Pure side, we look at the juice made. Look at that. I'd say it's above 750, on its way to 800, maybe like 760, maybe 770. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely we made probably maybe about 10% more, which is I think a fair estimate. And what this is going to equate to, approximately 1 extra ounce per pound when you're juicing. Let's go ahead and turn on the scales and verify the wetness of the pulp here to make sure that this correlates. So this is out of the Norwalk there. We're going to put that on the scale. And it looks like we have 279 grams left over, including the weight of the bags. and then getting the pure cloths here. Oops, we left one over there. Let's go ahead and get that out. Let's go ahead and put that on the scale there. And on that, check it out, 263. So that was like, actually that's about the difference of the pulp that was in there. So not only is the pulp different, but the weight of the pulp when you're done is different, because look, you could almost see kind of the moisture in there, and you can't really see the moisture in this one. I mean, these ones are pretty doggone dry. Let's go ahead and open this up. This is, once again, this is the pure pulp here. And here's the press cake here. To me, that's dry, and of course, I can't take this and squeeze it because I can only press 130 pounds, and the Pure did what, like 5,000 or something. And over on the Norwalk side, where we didn't run it that long, and it's not as efficient pressing. Wow, look at that! I want to show you guys that, the color difference. Can you guys see the color difference in that? Why is this one darker? Well, that's because all the moisture is pressed out. This is still a little bit moist, so it's a little bit lighter in color. And if I feel this, I can still feel juice in there. And if I feel this one, I mean, it's moist, but it's way dry, way drier. Maybe I'll take this and I'll throw it through the Pure and see if I can get any more juice out. All right, so what I've done is I've taken the pulp out of the Norwalk and basically put it all into one press cloth, and now I have that ready to press out. So let's see how much we get, how much more juice comes out, if any. And we can just crank this up to full pressure because the pulp is already fairly dry. And we'll see if the Pure could actually press out more juice than the Norwalk with its 20-second rule and its less pressing capacity. All right, so it's spraying a little bit out, and we're getting a few drops. So there is still some juice in there, but you know, nonetheless, I want to say that the Norwalk was fairly efficient. I mean, it is a grinder and a presser, and that's what it does. But if you want to get the most yield, as you guys saw, up to 10% because of pulp loss in the the chute, as well as not as much sheer pressing power, the Pure is the way to go. What I want to do next for you guys is something that you should not try at home. We're going to go ahead and take these machines apart and show you why the Pure is able to handle this much pressure, as well as we're going to crank up the Pure to see how much pressure it can take. We're also going to do the same thing with the Norwalk, and frankly, we're going to probably bust the Norwalk. So stay tuned for that next. All right, so now what I've done is I've gone ahead and I got basically all the metal off the outside of both juicers so you can see what the juicers look like on the inside. This is probably something you'll never see, and probably something maybe Norwalk might not want you to see, because you're going to see, how this machine looks without its bones, literally. Well, this is the bones and the foundation it sits on, but without its exterior plating, because on the outside, if you just look at the Pure and look at the Norwalk, or vice versa, they basically look like they're the same thing, but they're totally so much different than the same thing, okay? So this is a 280 model. It has been out, I think, since like 2012 to 2016, and then they more recently brought that old model back. And so what you're looking at here is like a $2,000+ a 2000 and change juicer. I mean, both these machines are in the same price range approximately. But which one looks like a quality $2,000 juicer? Like, to me, look at this. I mean, there's basically this. I mean, this was designed in the 1930s, I think. And I mean, it looks like it hasn't changed much. They basically got two base plates. They got a couple, rods here that hold it together with some framing. They got a motor here. They got a pump here, and then the piston right here. I mean, this thing is super basic, super simple. And look at this. To me, this looks like you made it in your she shed. And you know what a she shed is? It's like a garage for like a lady, a she shed. But like, look, all this, there's no support on this whole wall when you put the stainless steel on. That supplies support on here, and if you don't have that on, this actually will flex. So like, to me, this doesn't look very strong. If this is damaged in shipping, right, this thing is going to crush, it's going to get broken. The other thing that I want to point out is, a lot of these parts, like this is a long run right here where this lever comes out, and this is more prone to getting broken than on the Pure. I will say that Norwalk, they've been doing this a long time. They got some things, actually, they're doing right? Actually, what I do like about their machine is their pump is actually a fairly solid pump. What many people don't know is that, while they say built in the USA, some of their parts are imported. So I know for a fact that this pump is made in China. If we look at the motor, I mean, there's a sticker on the motor that says made in Mexico or assembled in Mexico. So right now, two of the parts of the three main parts in here, where's the circuit breaker made? Two of the main parts here are definitely made outside the country, even if they assemble it in the US, right? And I don't know where this piston is made. The other thing is, if you look at these machines side by side, you can see like this piston on the bottom, it's a lot fatter, right? It's a lot more stable. I think it's like 1¼ inches diameter, and this one's only 1 inch. So that means you have a lot more stable foundation. Also, it means it can support higher pressures, right? I think it's like maybe, I don't know, 20% larger or something like that, right? Now, there's some things on the Pure that aren't the best. I mean, I know the motor's solid. Basically, the rating on both these motors, and this motor is also made outside the country, you know, it has the same horsepower rating, but it actually has more wattage and more torque, which is very important for a motor. In addition, unlike this belt on the back of the Norwalk here, which is almost like a rubber band, right? And I think they probably designed it like this in case it does flex. It still might work. This can slip, and you know, they often have to be changed after a while. This is actually one of those like belts that actually have the little grooves in there. So I mean, this is not going to slip. It's going to be a lot more stable. And it's actually fairly tight, so you're not going to like lose pressure because your belt is slipping, which may happen on this machine over here. The other thing is, I have personally experienced some leakage with the Pure myself. You know, maybe they're continuing to improve. I mean, here's the thing: Norwalk has been building these guys for a long time. They got like the hydraulics, unless it breaks during you know, shipment, they got it pretty sealed up pretty good. So like you're not going to have too much of a hydraulic issue. You might have other issues with it. And the pump is you know, fairly solid. But on the top of here, you guys can see, I mean, they've done a lot of, in my opinion, rinky-dink things on here. I mean, on the top of this, even though they have an O-ring, there's a lot of food particles in here. Oh, and even worse, I want to show you guys this. Let's go ahead and get a screwdriver here. This really shocked me. I mean, number one, inside here, there's like a piece of cardboard that's like acting as a shim, so there's less vibration in here. I hope they still don't do that today. And then over in here, this is their press plate. You know, when you guys press stuff out, it goes up into this press plate, and I want to show you guys actually what's sitting inside this press plate here. Inside this press plate, do you guys believe this is a $2,000 juicer? This is like some really cheap press wood or particle board. They also have some plywood in there, and then in addition, at least they have some kind of like, you know, they got a aluminum plating in here. But look at this! Like, what the heck is this, man? They got some paper towels in here. And maybe this is like to help dampen some of the noise. I mean, I think it'd be more effective if they maybe glued some of these parts together. And if you've ever used a Norwalk, actually, like when I use this one, it's like you turn it on and then there's some kind of creaking. That's probably the spacing in between here giving up. So if you want to remove that, maybe you could take it apart yourself and glue it. The other thing I don't like that they're actually using some wood and some cardboard inside here is that if you are located in a flood zone and your Norwalk gets flood, this particle board is like a sponge. It'll expand, soak up the water, and then create mold. So if you get any kind of leaks in here, that's definitely not good. Now, and this is very easy to get a hole open up because there's just 4 screws that, you know, have little screw heads, and on many juicers they may have impacted with pulp or juice that may have dried because this is in the food zone basically. That's not good. You know, on the Pure, I mean, I can't easily disassemble this because it's 100% sealed. You know, there's no screws that hold it in. I mean, you got to basically disassemble the whole machine to get it apart. And if you did open that, what you would see, as I did see earlier, is you'll see an HDPE. HDPE is like a high density polyethylene plastic. It's kind of like the food safe plastic. You know, and even if water gets in there, plastic does not mold or go bad or rust, right? And I don't see any kind of like paper shims or cardboard shims inside this machine. You know, turning to the Pure now, I really want to show you guys the difference. You know, the frame on here is just kind of like rinky-dink and small. I mean, it's like they've been making it since the 1930s, and they haven't really improved. I mean, it's 2019 now. We have iPhones, we have all this technology, and you would think over all the years that the Norwalk has been making that, they would have made it better. They would have improved it. And so, I mean, Pure came along and they're like, hey, we could make a better mousetrap, and that's what they did. Look at this. This thing is totally solid. Instead of like 2 rails on the end here that basically provide strength, they got like, I don't know, significantly more. They don't have rails on the end. They have like one solid big cast piece here right in the middle. That's at least like, you could put about like maybe 6 of these together and it'd be like about the size of this piece. In addition, you know, this right here, the lever, doesn't have a long run. It's a lot more stable. So should this, you know, it's less likely to be damaged. The other thing that, if you look at this, you know, once again, I showed the main pump there. This is a lot more heavy duty. And the other thing is there's a plate on here, and the plate on here, this is like, you know, 1 inch in places, especially right under this this pump where all the pressure is being exerted. It's a lot thicker plate, and because they designed this with basically a cage, literally it's like I owned a convertible like many years ago, and my parents really didn't like me driving around the convertible unless I had a roll cage in there. So in case you flip over your convertible, right, you're not going to decapitate yourself. And that's kind of what this is. This is like a roll cage fully enclosing the motor. As you guys can see, there's basically on the back, there's this roll cage, and on the front, there's a roll cage. So what this does, this keeps the motor in the exact same plane. And on the Norwalk, you know, if you look on that one, there is no roll cage. I mean, literally, what's supporting this motor is it's bolted to the roof or the top of the unit as well as the front. And then there's this support bar that holds it. But I mean, they don't even have frames on the outside right here, which I would think would be a bare minimum. They should have some framing on this side. So this side is very prone to damage, you know, should it get dropped in UPS and it's not packed right. And actually, you know, I bought many years ago on eBay like some used Norwalks, and I would not recommend buying a Norwalk where they got to ship it to you, because I told both people, pack it properly so it doesn't break. Both of them broke, and they came with hydraulic leaks once I got them delivered, you know. So unless using like the proper packaging, which is something also Pure improved on. So you can see this is totally enclosed inside here. I mean, it's just this is a lot better built, you know, overall. And you know, here's the thing, like, because Norwalk's been doing this so long, they got a lot of things down, you know, and they've improved a lot of things that are just solid. You know, they worked out all the leaks, they worked out a lot of the issues it has. But you know, in general, I think, I mean, really, you're not really getting much for your money. You're getting a much better value when you buy the Pure. And the other thing with the Pure is that, you know, it has a 12-year warranty like the Norwalk, but it's also a transferable warranty, whereas on a Norwalk, right, only the original purchaser has the warranty. And once it's a used machine like this one I bought used, there's no warranty on it, right? And I'd be highly cautious of buying a used Norwalk, especially if you're getting on some kind of Gerson program or Gerson therapy or juice therapy program, where you have to depend on your juicer to make you the juice that is going to help your body heal. You know, so that's why I use the Pure Juicer in my home personally. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. You can see how this is a lot more stable, a lot more stout. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put that same pressure tester on the Pure, and we're going to crank it up to see if we can get up to maybe like 7,000 pounds of pressure. Now, you know, don't do this at home. This will void your warranty, increasing the pressure on any machine. If you're mechanically inclined, it's not difficult to figure out how to do this. I'm only doing this for the videos to show you guys what juicer is truly the better machine if you guys are still on the fence. Before we get into this next segment is, do not try this at home. This will void your warranty and likely even break your machine. What we're going to do is, once again, we're going to do that scale pressure test to see how much force the Pure Juicer can exert, and we're going to crank it up beyond the normal factory preset, which is set at about 5,400, as you guys saw a little bit earlier, to see if this could actually make more pressure and if we could actually even damage this like tightened frame here. So let's go ahead and turn it on and see what kind of pressure we can actually make it up to today. So there it is. We got it to 55, which is like what it's set at from the factory. And now we're going to crank it up. I think maybe, let's see if we can hit 7,000 on the PSI, and we can see if it's starting to break or anything happens to it. Once again, do not try this at home. It's running, and you can see it going up and down every time. We're getting it a little bit higher and higher. Got it up to nearly 6,000. It's at 6,200 right now. You know, I want you guys to also look at the base plate and look at the top plate. Look for any flexing on this unit. I mean, with this solid roll cage in there, with this solid bar on the other side, I'm not seeing any kind of flexing or additional movement. What that means is that all the pressure is going up onto that press plate, and it is able to squeeze out your pulp because we're not seeing the movement being distributed somewhere else in the Pure. And I haven't been looking at what it's been going up to lately, but let's take a look now. Oh, I'm finally seeing a little bit of flex in there, but we're nearly at 7,000. We're at 6,800. This is more than the factory preset. Do not do this at home. We're gonna try to hit 7,000. We are getting some, you know, flexing, so you don't want to do this for sure. But we're almost there. I think we're gonna stop at 6,900. I don't think we're able to get to 7,000. Let's see. Look at that, 7,100. Yes, we got some flex. We're not breaking. We're holding steady. And so I think we're gonna stop there because, you know, even with this machine, with enough pressure, it will start flexing at some point. And if we went any further, it would likely break. Once again, don't try this at home. let's see if we can get the Norwalk up to 7,000 like we were able to get the Pure. All right, so now we're gonna see if we can get the Norwalk up to 7,000 pounds and get it to beat the Pure. So let's try it out. Once again, we got that the meter in there to kind of like weigh the force, and we're gonna crank this up above and beyond where it should be. Once again, I want to encourage you guys, don't do this at home, right? Especially if you don't have a meter, you don't know how much you're cranking it up. You could break it, you could damage your machine, you could bend the plates, or even worse. And once again, you will be voiding your warranty. I'm doing this, I'm taking one for the team so you guys could learn the truth about how powerful these machines are and what happens when you exceed the specified limits, all right? So let's go ahead and turn this on. And let's crank it up so you guys can see it goes up to like 4,000. I think that's like it's a factory preset. We're gonna crank this up even higher. We got up to 4,400. I want you guys to notice like the flex on the cage right here on the bottom. I mean, I see that literally bowing as we're turning it up and turning it down. You can see all this bar here and this bar here starting to flex. We did not see that much flex on the Pure until it got up into the upper echelons of the pressure there. We got this up to 6,300. I'm quite impressed. It has actually made it this far. I mean, the Norwalk, I don't know why they said it's so low because they're just afraid of it breaking or busting. We're up to 7,200. This is actually more pressure than we got the Pure to. So man, I think we're gonna have to go back to the Pure to see if we could basically get it up a higher pressure than the Norwalk. But at this point, actually, you know, Norwalk's got some of their stuff down. I mean, this is handling 7,000 pressure, although you should be asking them, hey Norwalk, if your machine can handle 72 without breaking, it is flexing really a lot. Actually, I do not recommend running it at this. You know, why do you set it only at 4,000 and you miss, you're losing out on yield? Like, what are you scared of, right? Let's go ahead and see if we can crank this up more and see what happens. All right, we're up to 74, 75, 76. Quite impressive, man. 600 pounds over the Pure. Hasn't broken yet. Now this may not be your experience with your Norwalk. This particular one seems to be quite well built. 77, I don't even know if we want to go higher, man. There's something could blow up on us. Oh my God, 78, man. Wow, why did they set it only at 4,000? That's super impressive. Oh my God, look at that bottom plate, man. It is so bowed. That's insane. Do not try this at home. The Pure, we only got up to 7,000, so now we're gonna take it up even higher. I think we're gonna try to get to 8,500 in the Pure. Now here's the thing, even though it's reaching this pressure, it doesn't mean no damage is being done, right? I don't know, well, I'll show it to you guys later, but the Norwalk, the base plate on the Norwalk, I mean, it's like instead of being flat, it's like totally flexed out. You would not want to use that juicer. It's gonna look horrible, put all that together. There's gonna be a big, large gap at the bottom. And you know, if you look at the Pure, you know, there's much less flex on it, and I don't see any damage to this. This looks straight across, still nice and perfect. So let's see if we can get this up to 8,500 PSI. All right, we're at 5,700. Let's go ahead and keep bringing this higher. 6,600, 6,800. Once again, I want you guys to look at this. I mean, we are getting a little bit of flexing. This is a lot of PSI. As you saw, I can only do 130 pressure or pounds, right? This is a lot of pressure. Wow, 8,300 right there. We're almost meeting the 8,500. Once again, we are seeing some flexing, are seeing some bending, but it goes back into shape. You know, we're not seeing any residual damage from, you know, doing this pressure in the Pure. Once again, do not try this at home. 8,300. Maybe next time we get up to 85, the number we're looking for. 86, 8,500. Look at this. No damage, holding strong, holding good. And I don't think we're gonna go any higher. We really don't want to damage the Pure or any juicer. Once again, don't do this at home. We can let this down all the way and we can see that, you know, basically there's no damage to the Pure. We did have some flex, but that's a lot of pressure. This is just built like a roll cage, a lot more solid than, you know, the thin frame on the Norwalk. Let's go back to the Norwalk and let's see if we can get to break if we go up to 8,500, and then we'll show you guys the residual damage that occurred to the Norwalk. All right, so now we're back, and now we're gonna see if we get the Norwalk up to 8,500 pounds like we did on the Pure. So let's go ahead and turn this on. And let's go ahead and try to put it up. All right, so we have the lever activated, so the press should be going up, but look at this, it's not going up. We didn't have a catastrophic, like, you know, base plate failure, which kind of I thought what was gonna happen, but something in the pump basically could not handle 8,500 or 8,200 is what we got up to, PSI. So I think I'm gonna have to declare the winner of the Pure. But here's the thing, you know, now I have a broken Norwalk. There's probably something in this piston here, maybe an O-ring blew out. I don't exactly know. I'm gonna get the repair guy to take a look at this. Now the other thing that happened, let's go ahead and turn this off for you guys. I want to show you guys a straight edge. So this is a straight edge, actually it's off the Pure, and this is a nice straight edge, and I want to put this on the bottom of the Norwalk, and I want you guys to notice this, right? Put this straight edge on there, across the bottom, it's straight here, but look at this. There's a big bow. I don't know if you guys can see that little bow there on the bottom. A big bow on the bottom. This is literally the excess pressure that we put on the unit. You know, I mean, literally we doubled the pressure on this unit. I mean, it didn't break, but it has a really bad bow, and this is not something you'd want to use. I mean, if you look at any Norwalk you're going to buy, there will be a small bow, but we definitely made it a lot larger, and over time, generally in commercial use, you know, after flexing up and down aluminum, have you ever taken an aluminum can, bend it back and forth and it breaks? Well, that's what's going to happen to your base plate because it does have, you know, lots of flex in there, whereas the Pure, it's a thicker aluminum and it's, you know, a lot more resilient just based on the frame and how it's built. So the pressure's going to where it needs it to press out your juice instead of into the frame, you know, and all the flexing that's happening here. So there you go. I did break a Norwalk today for you guys. Don't do this at home once again. And the whole purpose of this video is to show you guys actually, you know, that the Pure is a better designed and built machine in my opinion. And you know, once again, I hope that all companies out there always strive to improve their machines, improve the quality, make their machines better, because in the end, the customers will win. And in the end, what that means to you guys is people considering buying a Norwalk or a Pure is that you're gonna get a higher yield and you're just not gonna have to worry as much, right? People that use a Norwalk, I hear, sometimes they're worried about it creaking and doing this, and they're worried about produce spitting up at the roof. You know, with the Pure Juicer, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You put the stuff in, it grinds up, you put the press up, it presses at a higher pressure than this. It's not flexing the whole case, you know, and it's just, you're gonna have a more trouble-free, easy running experience, and I know this can be very important, especially if you're trying to heal, get through some kind of illness. You know, you don't wanna have to worry about your juicer blowing up or failing on you, you know. So anyways, that's pretty much it for this episode. Once again, if you haven't seen the 2-hour-long video I made, Pure versus Norwalk, that's where I go into even more details on why these two machines are different and how I believe the Pure Juicer is better. Once again, I did not get paid to do this video. You know, I do these videos to educate you guys. You know, no matter what happens, that's what I show in the video guide for you guys, so you guys will know the truth. And so that's what it is. So if you like this format, want me to do more videos, Pure versus Norwalk, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Maybe I'll find another Norwalk on a local website for super cheap so I could blow it up again or mess it up again. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes I've coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know what washer up or what new juicer, maybe vacuum blender, maybe even freeze dryer one of these days I'll be testing for you guys. And make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. Also, be sure to support me in my work. If you guys enjoyed this video, learn from it, right? These are videos that Norwalk or Pure probably won't make because then they may be held accountable. I'm an independent third party making these for you guys to show you guys what's up. I test all the major brand juicers, right? Pure, Norwalk, whatever. I have almost a video on almost every style brand juicer out there, so you guys can learn and get the best one for you. You know, as much as the Pure beat the Norwalk in this video, and as much as I use the Pure in my own kitchen when I'm juicing quite often, it's not necessarily my favorite juicer, right? So be sure to also check the links down below for my videos where I compare the Pure to other style juicers, because maybe the Pure is the one you want to get, but maybe there's another juicer that might meet your needs better. And that's why I make all these videos for you guys, so you guys can get the right juice for you, whether that's a Pure, whether that's a Green Star Pro, VSJ843, an Omega, NC800, I don't really care. But what I do want for you guys is to get the best juicer, and I want you guys to know what to expect from it, how to use it, and you know, so you guys can get the benefits of the fresh fruits and the fresh vegetables in you, especially those vegetables. Super critical, super important. I'd also encourage you guys to support me in my work. Make your purchase at discountjuicers.com. That'll continue to allow me to make these educational videos, buy used Norwalks, and you know, try to make it destroyed and show you guys how they actually work. You know, when you make your purchase at Discount Juicers, this allows me to continue my work, to pay my light bill, pay my mortgage, and insurance, and all these different things. So I want to thank you guys in advance who will purchase from me, and I want to thank you guys who have purchased from me in the past. It's much appreciated. So with that, my name is John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. Be sure to visit discountjuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.